Come with me to Baltimore, Maryland to cover Penn State's basketball game versus Virginia Tech in the Basketball Hall of Fame series. So this road trip video looks a little bit different than it usually does. For one, it's not a football road trip. We decided to go down to Baltimore because this game is only 3 hours from State College. And two, usually I'm able to show the journey, but I was actually driving for this trip. So I will be showing all travel montages with a clip of the Muppets from the original Muppet movie. Our first fun stop of the day was the Guinness Open Gate Brewery, which is just outside Baltimore. It's one of the only Guinness locations in the entire world. There's 2 in the US, this one and one that just opened up in Chicago. Now, 3 out of the 4 of us were 21, so we were super excited for this. Guinness is one of my favorite beers, as is for Aiden and Keely. Michael was unfortunately just along for the ride for this one, but we went inside, took a peruse around the gift shop. They had a bunch of pretty cool stuff. I got a couple Christmas-themed Guinness pint glasses, and then we decided to get a bite to eat, and of course, have a pint of Guinness. If you don't know, the tradition with Guinness is to try to split the G on your first sip, so you get the line right on the G. I missed it. It was one of my worst ones, but Aiden hit his pretty good. You could see here, that's about as good as you could ask for. So yeah, he did pretty good, and we ended up getting 2, and I did good on my second one, but did not video. For food, I got a crab cake sandwich, because when in Maryland, you've got to get crab, right? And it was really good. The chipotle aioli on it was awesome. But from there, we pretty much got our stuff together and headed out of the Guinness Open Gate Brewery. This was honestly an awesome pit stop, totally worth the stop. I'm so glad we did it. From there, we made our way into downtown Baltimore. We decided last minute that instead of driving home at like 2 or 3 a.m. that night, we were going to get a hotel. So once we parked in downtown Baltimore, we made our way to the Lord Baltimore Hotel, which was a really, really nice hotel. You could see from the lobby, this is like a super historic hotel. Babe Ruth, Amelia Earhart, Martin Luther King Jr., a bunch of famous people stayed here. It's super historic, and it was only $99 for one night at this hotel. So actually, crazy deal. We only picked it because it was like the cheapest hotel in downtown Baltimore, and then it ended up being crazy nice. But from there, we dropped our stuff off in the room and made the super quick walk to the arena for the game, which we could see from our hotel window. It was CFG Bank Arena. And the cool part about this event is that the Basketball Hall of Fame series featured 2 back-to-back games, the first game of which was Villanova versus Virginia, 2 blue blood programs. Premier matchup, would have been an even bigger matchup a couple years earlier, but both these programs were in a better spot. But Aiden grew up a huge Villanova fan, and I also grew up watching Villanova basketball. I'm more of a St. Joe's fan, but still, it was cool to get the opportunity to shoot this game. So Keely and Michael, as the writers, pretty much just hung out during the game, but Aiden and I did take our spots on the baseline. Our credential was active for both games, so we were allowed to shoot not only the Penn State game, but this game as well. And it was a super cool opportunity. We didn't even realize when we applied for these Penn State credentials that this could even be a possibility, that we would get to shoot the first game as well. At least I wasn't even thinking about that. So this was a nice added bonus. So I'll show you a couple clips from the game, and then we'll go to the Penn State game. So Virginia ended up winning this game pretty easily, I'd say. The Villanova program is not in the best spot at the moment, but you know, it's a great program, so hopefully they'll make some changes to bring a little bit better basketball to Philadelphia. But next up was time for the Penn State-Virginia Tech game. Going into this game, Penn State was 3-0 in their second season under head coach Mike Rhodes. this is the game we were really in Baltimore for. No disrespect to Villanova or Virginia, but we are a Penn State blog over at Onward State, so we were here to cover this game. So I do have a little bit less video from this game, I think, because I was focused on getting good pictures and doing my job properly, but it was a pretty exciting game. Penn State controlled the game for most of the time. They did falter a little bit in the second half, made it a little bit close at one point, but in general they kept about a 10-point lead for most of the game, which they got right off the bat. I think they were leading 15-3 or something like that right from the get-go, and they pretty much held that lead for the entire game, and by the end they were pulling away pretty much with ease. They ended up winning this game by about 20 points, I think. Ace Baldwin Jr., who is, most people would agree, Penn State's best player, he grew up just down the road. He went to high school 8 minutes from this arena in Baltimore, so this was a homecoming game for him. Him and Zach Hicks from Penn State both had 19 points each, so big games from both of them. Getting to shoot Penn State basketball is always fun, but getting to do so in a neutral site environment was super cool. I had a ton of fun, and I was pretty happy with the pictures that I got. After the game, edited some pictures and did a little bit of work as they closed up the arena for the night, took down the court and everything like that, and then from there we got our stuff together and headed back to the Lord Baltimore Hotel, where we did a little bit more work for the evening. I wrote a photo story, Aiden and I watched the Jake Paul fight, and Keely and Michael wrote their sidebars. Saturday was a Penn State game day at Purdue. This was the only away game this year I did not go to, which is why I was able to go to Baltimore. But we wanted to get back to State College to watch the game on TV. So we didn't spend too much time in Baltimore on Saturday morning, but we did get up and walk around the Inner Harbor area, which is like the main touristy area of Baltimore. It's where the National Aquarium is, which is Baltimore's probably most famous tourist attraction. There's some historic ships down there, shops, restaurants, all that sort of stuff. But we didn't really do anything. We just kind of walked around, and then we grabbed our stuff from the hotel and made our way back to State College, as depicted by Kermit and Fozzie Bear here. So that's the end of our Maryland road trip. I know this was a short one, but we had a ton of fun, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for Minnesota.